Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of That Park Place. My name is Vash Sky, and while I was editing this video, in order to deliver the most up-to-date information on what we are hearing about this Project 555, we have an update, a huge update on this project, an official statement from Universal themselves, and, if that wasn't enough, another franchise that might be involved in this area. Folks, you want to stick around to the end of the video so we can go over that update together, and I wanted to go ahead and also play Culture's thoughts because I thought they provide a lot of context and insight into what we actually might receive. So let's go to the video right now to set this up properly and hear from Culture and what he has to say. This is the news we've all been waiting for. Guys, I've been looking at this area of Islands of Adventure and thinking, what are they going to do over here? So much of this is actually blocked out. So much of this is behind walls. So much of this is inaccessible to the public. Are they going to do something with the Lost Continent area of Islands of Adventure over there at Universal Studios? Now, we got a permit. Culture. They're doing something. Universal Orlando files demolition permit for Universal Project 555, possibly for the Lost Continent replacement. This by Orlando Theme Park Zones, September 10th, 2025. SPC demolition of 4.9 acres of theme park site, including retail /show /attraction buildings and associated utilities, pedestrian facilities, and access roadway. APP RECD 9/10/2025. You can see that permit right here. And it's pretty clear. They're looking to demo in this park, that being Islands of Adventure, according to that address right there, 5 acres or so. That's quite a bit, Culture. And there's really only one site in this theme park here that fits that bill. You can see right here behind the Thrills actually was the one that discovered this originally. And they also provided a reference for what 5 acres looks like roughly in this theme park, and it fits exactly this Lost Continent area. Now, it doesn't include the best theme park restaurant of all time, that being, I guess, Mythos. And it would make sense that they might want to keep that because I think that it is something that works, and for a simple retheme, you can see that being incorporated in any which way for a new upcoming theme for whatever they put next door. But this Culture, this is very, very exciting to actually see this huge demolition of this attraction and show space. Now, for people who actually love this area, hey, I'm sorry this has to go away. But for people looking for continuing investment out there from Universal Studios Orlando, I think this is a big win for fans. Culture, your thoughts?
So do we know any details about the what's going to go in there yet? Because I've seen 4 different leaks and none of them have actually, been very explicit. Right. So okay. Is something wicked this way coming? That's interesting that you say that. Okay. So I was talking to and big compliments to the Theme Park Wizard. I saw him in the chat earlier right there. Phenomenal account. Definitely check him out over there on his YouTube channel. But I was talking to him and I was like, look, listen, okay. What are we looking at when it comes to this area? Because I had the same thoughts as you did, Culture. It's like I've heard multiple things. We've heard, ideas spattered around over the decades. What do we know now? Well, because I think How to Train Your Dragon was once conceived for this area at a certain point, we now know that exists at Epic Universe. Doesn't quite make sense there, so we can go ahead and throw that out. The 2 that are most likely, from what I understand, are either Wicked, like you said, or Zelda. Yeah, and yet Nintendo still seems to prefer putting that over next to DK and the other things that are over there in Nintendo Land area. So I'm and there's space there too. This is the gift they acquired, the gift of space, and they have more to acquire yet. But it's, I don't know. What are you leaning towards? Because the idea that it's more of a Wicked style thing than it is anything else is the one that is getting the heaviest lean from everybody.
Yeah, so, and that's for a few reasons. I think Universal is really enthusiastic about that franchise. Again, some of that may be predicated on how well the second movie actually does, but obviously this permit says that they're leaning towards redeveloping this area even before that movie has actually come out. So if they are going that direction, they must feel confident in that franchise, if in fact that's the one they choose. Now, Mark Woodbury did kind of clarify his earlier comments, because you'll note that here in That Park Place, we actually covered the fact that, hey, he was like, Wicked, I think it's perfect for a theme park land, and we can definitely do it. And a lot of people took that as, one is coming. I think at the recent Bank of America conference that he attended, he clarified and said, maybe I spoke a little bit too soon on that. So Mark Woodbury, that being the head of Universal Destinations and Experiences, I do believe is what that's called, but definitely, certainly the head of Universal Creative, the kind of the Imagineers of Universal. It would appear that if they are going in that direction, they can. Are they? I'm not sure. I think Zelda is a real surefire hit, especially for this area, and that means that you wouldn't have to, redevelop truly everything, and maybe that's how we can incorporate something like Mythos into something like that. But like you said, culture, Nintendo, I think, would prefer that those things kind of be built all together in Super Nintendo World over there in Epic Universe. So it is kind of an open question.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors going in here because the rights are very tricky with Wizard of Oz / Wicked, because of the original production. Who owns what now is going to be anybody's guess at this point. And to my recollection, they don't have access to the Oz stuff because that's still under MGM Warner Brothers, as far as I know. So
well. But Disney also owns the books as well, right? They own
yeah. So I can't look, if Wicked shows up, it's going to be just for the what I consider the garbage tier film adaptations that we're getting, and a lot of people like that franchise. I don't really care. I think it's hot garbage, but that's me. Regardless, I'm not sure that that's going to have the kind of broad appeal for the long term that doesn't lock him into something. And yet again, the other problem with Oz is, as far as I know, 100 years elapses very soon. I think this was a 1939 film production for Wizard of Oz. So, are they going to build an Emerald City out of this area? Or are they going to, which wouldn't require much more than a facade construction that, they can turn one part of the park green. They can certainly add to the theming around the restaurant and have it fit in pretty well. I don't know. Well, Vash, I mean, I haven't been talking to anybody about this because my natural assumption was it was Zelda. So,
yeah, I mean, and that was everybody's natural assumption. And then we heard, okay, well, maybe they develop these plans over at Epic Universe. Look, they still can spread that franchise around, right? There's no reason why you couldn't have a Nintendo presence in every single one of these parks, including Universal Studios Florida, for that matter, via loosely, I guess, Pokemon, which we have heard before as well. But when you take a look at something like this, Zelda does, I think, fit naturally within this ethos next to Mythos. You see what I did there? When I look at Wicked, yes, I think there are maybe problems long term with that. I will say it is a franchise that has kind of endured within the zeitgeist for a period of time. There was a long delay between the original Broadway production and the actual movie, right? And you definitely had those Wicked fans out there, not nearly to the extent that you had the Nintendo fans or anybody else. But we have seen Universal develop theme park concepts based on franchises that maybe weren't even successful when they came out, like Waterworld, for instance, and that's endured for way longer than it had any right to, at least at Universal Studios Hollywood.
But the action show was great. I'm sorry,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you execute very highly, then does it necessarily matter what franchise you choose outside of a kind of a merchandise retail mindset? By
the way, it is one of the coolest places when it rains and after it rains. So sorry, that little courtyard area, I love it. But again, I always thought that it was too clunky and cumbersome for its own good, and it was an epic show and everything else that went along with this. But that is an enormous amount of space that is not being used to its best potential, right?
It was kind of sad when I went to Islands of Adventure because obviously many things have happened since the theme park opened. When I visited in 2023, so much of this land had already taking a back seat to Harry Potter. A lot of it being absorbed into that theme park concept right there. And so walking around so many facades that you could see that at one time they may have been brimming with life. When you walk around the corner and you just see walls and so forth. Like, this is definitely an area that needs to be redeveloped. It's an area that I think Universal has lost enthusiasm for, and so they've let parts of it atrophy, which is really sad because, like the talking fountain, for instance, I think that's a pretty cool concept. A lot of these waterfalls that you see on the Mythos facade no longer there. So I think this is definitely a land that has to have new life breathed into it. It looks like we're losing considerable amounts of it, which is a shame. That being said, though, I will give Universal credit for not necessarily having this mindset of like reusing infrastructure. Like if we look at Disney, for instance, right? They're going to be using large swaths of the Dino Land USA portion of Animal Kingdom for Tropical Americas, right? We even heard actually from behind the scenes that Josh Giamaro saying, "Hey, it can't look like you painted facades and everything like that," which leads me to believe that
that's exactly what it's going to look like.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so, anything Joshy says you should immediately discount because dude's been lying since he got the gig. He might have been able to be good for one theme park. He's lousy because he doesn't have the huevos to stand up and ask for deliverables at the parks.
It is a problem. It is a problem. So for Universal to come in here and saying, "Look, we're just going to bulldoze this area and we're going to redevelop all of it, and maybe we keep some of the stuff that is really worth keeping, but the bulk of it we want fresh ground and a clean slate for our Universal creative teams to really redevelop this area for the best," right? And that's what we saw with the original Wizarding World actually in 2010 to a large extent. So very exciting stuff that this area is finally, something's happening here. And maybe it's not the result that everybody wanted. And maybe perhaps when it's actually complete, not the franchise that everybody wants to see. But coming from Universal, I have a lot of faith that they'll pull it off no matter what they actually put in here. And it is awesome that things are still moving in these existing parks while Epic Universe continues to grow. And continue to grow, the entire resort shall. Take a look at this over here at Business Journal. This is an update to this story. Universal Orlando confirms construction plans within Islands of Adventure. It says free story, so I think I'm pretty good about sharing this. Let's see right here. It's by Patricia Tolley over there, staff writer at the Orlando Business Journal. Universal Orlando Resort officials have confirmed, quote, construction activity is forthcoming for a themed area within Islands of Adventure. In the coming months, there will be construction activity in Lost Continent as part of the site planning to ensure the area is ready for any future developments. Director of Public Relations Kristen Smith said in an email statement to Orlando Business Journal. And it goes on to talk about what the Lost Continent is and what people are suspecting is going to go into this area. It actually names a couple of outlets that have been covering this, like Behind the Thrills, Inside the Magic, Orlando Theme Park Zone, which, by the way, Orlando Theme Park Zone, they were talking to the theme park wizard. However, Universal officials did not elaborate further to indicate whether the construction activity is related to redeveloping those specific attractions in the statement provided. And it talks about the franchises we already know about, like Legend of Zelda, for example, and it does feature one other franchise, one that I did not reference, at least out and out, in our previous coverage of this. Another rumor is the area being rethemed to the popular anime and manga series One Piece. This IP was featured at Universal Studios Hollywood's FanFest nights, and it would fit with the overall Islands of Adventure theme of each land at the park being themed to a book. Universal leans on IP and plans more growth. Whoa, One Piece. This is the first time that a major news outlet like this has actually referenced an anime series being considered for any part of Universal domestically. Now, we do know that Universal Studios Japan, that might be a very different story. But domestically, let's just say I've been holding on to some information regarding all of this, and I've been sweeping the internet and trying to find out if anybody's referenced anime at all. And I do believe this is the first time a major news outlet has, and that is very significant for a variety of reasons. Now, I will say, I have heard that One Piece has been considered for many a thing. I haven't heard necessarily any link to this specific area in Islands of Adventure, and I can't say any more than that. I very much apologize. I wish I could. But when it comes to this area right here, 5 acres is a whole lot to work with. And we're even hearing that maybe this might be done in stages that might impact other areas not part of this initial Project 555. That being said, though, this is very, very significant and really highlights the bright future ahead for the Universal Orlando Resort and Islands of Adventure itself. So let us know in the comments below what franchise that you would like to see in this Lost Continent area, and do you think Islands of Adventure should even be the next theme park to be developed over there at the Universal Orlando Resort? Please let us know in the comments section down below. We will keep you up to date on all things Project 555. Please like this video, share this out if you really do like it, and make sure you subscribe for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.